In her speech, The Danger of a Single Story, Adichie informs her audience that when we are shown a group of people a certain way over and over and over, this creates a single story. In many areas in my own life, single stories have been created. Single stories mold the way we see the world around us. Like the reader response criticism this semester stated, we often see the world around us how we expect to see it, or we often find what we expect to see. A single story can be dangerous and give us only one way of seeing a person or a group of people. When I was growing up, I used to have a hesitation of going to churches where the church members only wore skirts. This was for no reason, of course. The particular church that I attended was a Baptist church, and this church did not have a preference on what the congregation wore on Sundays. In fact, I wore jeans and a t-shirt almost every single Sunday. I remember my church members and my family talking about the other denominations that only believed in wearing skirts as hypocritical, judgmental, harsh, and condemning people to hell. This put a fear of these church members in my mind. When I was in the 7th grade, my parents decided to send me to a Christian school. I loved everything about this school, except on Wednesdays we had to wear skirts. Our skirts had to come past our knees, and we had to wear pantyhose. Every Wednesday, the female staff at the school would take the female students into a room and check and make sure our skirts were past our knees and made sure that we were wearing pantyhose. If we were not meeting one of these requirements, we weren't able to go to chapel and we were punished. This put an even bigger fear of these church members in my mind. It wasn't until my senior year of high school that my perspective shifted. A guy who later became my boyfriend invited me to come and sing at his church because I sing at churches around, and I wanted to go, but I had a hesitation because at this church, the congregation and the leaders of the church believed that if you were in the congregation, if you were a member, and especially if you were going to be on stage, you had to be wearing a skirt. I was afraid that these church members were going to judge me and not like that I wore pants through the week, and just I didn't want to be embarrassed or fearful of these people when I went to the church. But I decided to go anyway. And when I got there, my fears were completely wrong. These people were some of the nicest people that I had ever met. They were not judgmental, and they loved me. And like in Adichie's speech where her roommate thought that Africans couldn't be anything like her, I thought that these church members couldn't be anything like me. But they were. They loved Jesus, they weren't judgmental, and they certainly did not condemn anyone to hell. While we were studying the reader response / dystopian section, one thing stood out to me, and that is that we find what we expect to see. When I went to churches that were different from mine, all I could find was the harsh, judgmental people until my perspective shifted and I was looking for them as they were. All the characters in Adichie's books as growing up were the same. They were all white and they all enjoyed the same activities until she was shown another side of books. And then she realized that books could be different. And that was similar to my situation because until I was shown another side of these churches, I thought that they were all the same and they were all harsh and judgmental, which was completely wrong. Learning about how we tend to respond to things helped me to try to look a little differently than I would have before. One story that impacted me this semester was The Ascent by Ron Rash. In this story, the little boy's parents created a dystopia around the boy without realizing what they were doing to him. They were selling drugs and taking things from the boy to get more money, to buy more drugs. I think this story stood out to me because I have 4 adopted sisters, and 2 of them grew up in a home where drug misuse, excessive drinking, and leaving the children unattended was common. And the children thought that this dystopic place that their parents had created was normal until they were shown a utopia, which was my parents' house. They started to become happy and not overwhelmed by the surroundings their parents had created. And everything was new, kind of like in The Ascent where the little boy goes to his utopia. That was the plane, which later led to his death. In conclusion, a single story is dangerous, Many times in our everyday lives, we tend to assign a certain way to a certain group of people or person because of the single stories we have been given and the interpretive communities we have grown up in. Single stories can be dangerous because we aren't getting an entire side of anything. We should see the people around us with eyes that aren't ready to label them. We don't have to only see things the way we would expect to see them, but we can see things how they actually were or how they actually are. Thank you.